pleasant evening to all and welcome to the Erudite News Hour, MTM TV's news magazine. I am Kerika McGregor-Clue. If you're watching on our website, we welcome you, and if you are watching on our YouTube channel, feel free to leave comments. Coming up in the news tonight, NASA to launch naked pictures of humans to space in hope of attracting aliens. On Israel's Independence Day, lawmaker calls to build third temple. 45 churches engulfed or attacked in ongoing anti-Christian terror campaign. We go right now for a short break, but stay tuned. The details when we return. Welcome back. NASA scientists plan to launch pictures of naked humans into space in the hope of luring aliens to us. The depictions will also include an invitation to respond should an intelligent alien race find the space nudes. The pictures aren't graphic photographs of naked humans, but a drawing of a naked man and a woman next to a depiction of DNA. The man and woman are waving in an attempt to look more inviting. NASA scientists revealed the image in a study that's part of a project called the Beacon in the Galaxy, BITG. The main aim of the BITG project is to send a message to any alien civilizations that could be out there. Scientists think the pixelated illustration of a naked man and woman waving hello could help us finally make contact with extraterrestrials. The scientists explain in their study, though the concept of mathematics in human terms is potentially unrecognizable to extraterrestrial intelligence, binary is likely universal across all intelligence. Binary is the simplest form of mathematics, and it involves only two opposing states, 0 and 1, yes or no, black or white, mass or empty space. They added, the proposed message includes basic mathematical and physical concepts to establish a universal means of communication, followed by information on the biochemical composition of life on Earth, the solar system's time-stamped position in the Milky Way relatively to known globular clusters, as well as digitized depictions of the solar system and Earth's surface. The concept of sending depictions of naked humans to space isn't new. The Pioneer plaques sent to space on the 1972 Pioneer 10 and the 1973 Pioneer 11 missions also feature drawings of naked humans. The plaques are attached to the antennas on the crafts, which are still sailing away from Earth to this day. Meanwhile, Knesset member Itamar Ben-Gvir entered the Temple Mount on Israel's 74th Independence Day. During his visit, Ben-Gvir said, "The time has come to build a Jewish synagogue on the Temple Mount. Building the third temple is a commandment incumbent upon the Jewish people, as is written in the book of Exodus. And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them." Exodus 25, verse 8. Before ascending the mount, Ben-Gvir emphasized the importance of visiting the Temple Mount, writing, "Jews ascending the Temple Mount today proves that Hamas is an organization of pushovers that will easily surrender. On Israel's 74th Independence Day, it is important that government officials remember that we are an independent nation. Israel has prevented any effort to build a temple on the holy site for fear of Arab backlash. Instead, the Jewish pilgrims visiting the mount are forced to settle for silent prayer, an act recently allowed by the police station there. Ben-Gvir was among the more controversial MKs, causing a storm when he decided to move his headquarters to the Arab-occupied Jerusalem neighborhood of Shimon HaTzadik. Ben-Gvir called for full Israeli control over the holy site in the past. In his opening speech in the Knesset, Ben-Gvir lamented the hesitancy of the Israeli government to assert full sovereignty over Israel and more specifically the Temple Mount, saying, "I will act to ensure that Israeli control returns to Jerusalem and to the Temple Mount specifically." And in other news, terrorists are attacking and burning down churches across Canada with impunity. It's a reality most Canadians only thought possible for Middle Eastern countries like Syria, where ISIS has bombarded and razed dozens of Christian heritage sites in the name of Islam. Now, after nearly 6 years of liberals calling Canadians racist and fanning the flames of hatred, hate crimes are becoming commonplace against Christians in Canada. Things have gotten so bad that even our American neighbors are beginning to worry. The media has kept a close eye on these terrorist attacks, reporting on the scene just hours after a fire in a refugee church. The information shows that since June 2021, there have been 45 attacks on Christian and mainly Roman Catholic congregations. Of those, 17 of them have been scorched or burnt to a crisp in suspicious circumstances. The fires and vandalism span 6 provinces and the Northwest Territories, some of which have been in the heartland of First Nations territory. In fact, unlike the fake Catholic, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who sympathizes with the terrorist First Nations elders and former residential school survivors, have been some of the loudest voices calling for the attacks to end. There's not many places on Sisika that you can point to that aren't sacred. If anybody feels like they can come onto the Sisika Nation and do any kind of damage or vandalism, they will be under surveillance, said Chief of Sisika Nation Ray Crowfoot on July 2. While the mainstream media refused to call it what it is, a terror campaign, Christians are being forced to defend themselves or hire private security just to protect their holy places of worship. Despite the deflection by the liberal media corps, people are waking up to the hateful Marxist ideology shared by these terrorists and egged on by Canada's progressive elites. And fortunately, more evidence is being uncovered to identify these terrorists and bring them to justice. Video footage by residents from West Kelowna recently captured a masked man tossing burning objects into the dry bush. While police have arrested the 36-year-old man responsible, they are protecting his identity. Another video from July 2 shows two young women, one blonde and the other brunette, splattering St. Jude's Parish in Vancouver with orange paint. The truth is coming out, and it's time for Canadians to demand justice and an end to the terror. We go right now for a short break, but stay tuned. We return with transgender mom jailed for 25 years for forcing daughter she fathered to take part in child porn. Caribbean becoming too hot to live in, says climate change group. Churches attacked by pro-abortion protesters. When we come back.
Join Mary Banks, the Bible teacher, on MTM for discipleship sessions on how to hear God in prayer. Wednesdays at 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, starting January 13, 2021.
He makes his will known. So when we claim we don't know the will of God, it's because we're not listening to God.
That's Wednesdays at 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MTM.
Are you doing the things in his word? If you do that which is in his word, you'll hear him on the inside.
Continuing in the news, a transgender woman who forced the 7-year-old daughter she fathered to engage in child pornography at her New Jersey home has been jailed for 25 years without parole, along with 3 accomplices. Marina Voles, previously named Matthew, was sentenced on Friday at Somerset County Superior Court alongside another transgender woman, Ashley Romero, 28, previously named Adam, and 2 other offenders, Sean Allen, 54, and Dulcinea Neko, 21. Volts, 32, ran a family-owned transgender pornography production studio specializing in amateur BDSM and taboo fetish content from his Coburn Lane home in Franklin Township, according to acting prosecutor Anne-Marie Taggart, where he allowed his accomplices to sexually abuse his young daughter. The involvement of all 4 defendants was made clear in a string of group messages in which they discussed their plans to abuse Volts' child. Somerset County Assistant Prosecutor Brian Stack told Judge Peter Tulba at sentencing on Friday the quartet orchestrated a vortex of darkness that snuffed out the young girl, adding the group were incapable of redemption and had not accepted full responsibility. Judge Tober, meanwhile, said the crime was heinous, cruel, and depraved, and commented the child endured abuse involving a basement cage, neck collars, and a variety of sex toys. The judge sentenced Voles and Romero to 25 years without parole, while Allen received a 12-year sentence eligible for parole after 10 years, and Neko was handed a 5-year sentence. An investigation by the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office Sex Crimes and Child Abuse Unit found Volts managed to win custody of the child in 2018 before taking her from her mother's home on the West Coast and bringing her back to New Jersey. Once in captivity, the young girl was subjected to sexual abuse and filmed on multiple electronic devices. Investigators who raided the property one night after they assumed custody of the child following an anonymous tip-off in January 2019 discovered more than 30 computers, cameras, and digital storage devices containing extensive evidence of child pornography and sexual abuse. They also discovered firearms, a high-capacity magazine, and cocaine at the residence. Anthony Cowell, Volz's public defender, confirmed the child has been adopted by relatives and added his client had relinquished all parental rights following the abuse. She will never see her child again. I can't wrap my head around what happened in this case, he said, adding, the evidence was some of the worst images I have ever seen in my life. The judge, meanwhile, said it will be years before the full extent of the psychological harm endured by Volz's daughter is known, declaring the girl had suffered grievously at the hands of her captors. All four defendants pleaded guilty in November 2021 to a range of charges including human trafficking, aggravated sexual assault, creation of child pornography, and possession of child pornography, as well as charges related to possession of firearms and high-capacity magazines. Acting Prosecutor Taggart said the case served as an example of the importance of reporting suspicions of child abuse, arguing that without the anonymous tip-off from a concerned member of the community, Volz and her accomplices may never have been brought to justice. Moreover, the increase in global temperatures associated with the change in climate is turning the Caribbean into a region that could be too hot to comfortably live in, experts have said. Epidemiologist at the Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health and Wellness in Belize, Antonio Hegar, said the increase in global temperatures caused by climate change makes Caribbean people more susceptible to having a heat stroke or another type of cardiovascular event because it puts the body under more stress. You're not even aware your body is dehydrated and overheated until you literally collapse from heat stress, cramp, or exhaustion. There will be so much heat that even young, healthy people or those who live in areas accustomed to high temperatures won't be able to handle it and live there anymore. That gives you a sense of how serious the problem is, Hagar said. In a statement, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center said that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 6th assessment report on climate change has sounded alarms around the globe. With global temperatures currently at 1.5 degrees Celsius and an increase to 2 degrees Celsius expected in the near future, climate change is exacerbating our exposure to extreme temperatures. Hot days can cause increased levels of illness and death by impairing the body's ability to regulate its temperature. A UNICEF advocate from Trinidad and Tobago, 15-year-old Priyanka Lala, shared that one of her classmates suffered a heat stroke and fainted during a football game. It hadn't even been an hour, but the heat was so excruciating, Lala said. In an official statement, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center has underscored the report by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, that showed how the heat has become too hot for the Caribbean to handle. And yet, making people see the impact has been a challenge because the Caribbean is synonymous to soaking up the sun, sand, and sea, the group said. According to the IPCC report, small islands and the least developed countries are expected to be at the front seat of high, multiple interrelated climate risk. For now, Caribbean citizens are forced to adopt various mechanisms to safeguard their health from these potentially life-threatening impacts of warming climate, and often opting for alternative cooling methods is necessary, the climate group stated. And finally, a major religious liberty organization will sue pro-abortion protesters who are invading and defacing churches across the nation. The announcement comes after hundreds of protesters harassed churches to protest a possible Supreme Court ruling which could overturn Roe versus Wade. Churches from Denver to New York were attacked over the weekend. The Thomas More Society made its intentions known in a May 6 letter directed to a shadowy group calling itself Ruth Sent Us, which has been targeting churches and Supreme Court justices' homes. The letter notes that since the police brutality protest of mid-2020, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops has identified 129 incidents of vandalism, arson, and other hate crimes directed at Catholics. That's in addition to hundreds of incidents against Protestant and other churches across the country. Ruth Sent Us claims to be inspired by the late liberal Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who died on September 18, 2020, and was succeeded on the court by conservative and Catholic Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Ginsburg spent her entire life moving the needle towards justice for all, the group says on its website. However, Ginsburg, like the statements in the leaked court document, herself said that Roe was a poorly written and adjudicated ruling. Our 6-3 extremist Supreme Court routinely issues rulings that hurt women, racial minorities, LGBTQ+, and immigrant rights. We must rise up to force accountability using a diversity of tactics, the website states. Ruth Sent Us is also offering to pay for artwork. Images over the weekend showed dozens of churches painted with the symbol for the Marxist group Antifa and profane language attacking Christians. Are you a muralist or chalk artist? Are you a graphic designer who would like to contribute remotely? Large-scale art will be included in the protest against the Supreme Court. Stipends available, the site states. There have been protests nationwide, including at houses of worship, on Mother's Day, and at the homes of Supreme Court justices. The White House has refused to condemn both the unprecedented leak of the High Court's work product and the targeting by demonstrators of justices at their homes. The letter from Thomas More Society President Thomas Bradshaw and the two of its special counsels, Charles Lemandre and Paul Johnner, states that on February 28, Ruth Sent Us chose to trespass at and disrupt a Catholic Mass being held in the Cathedral of St. Mary of the Assumption in San Francisco and recorded the abusive event and then promoted it on various social media platforms. Over the weekend, chanting demonstrators protested outside the homes of Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Let's take a look at the protest outside of Chief Justice John Roberts' home.
Safe and legal. Keep abortion safe and legal. You don't care if people die. You don't care if people die. You don't care if people die.
Now to end the news, a quick recap of tonight's main points. NASA to launch naked pictures of humans to space in hope of attracting aliens. On Israel's Independence Day, lawmaker calls to build third temple. 45 churches engulfed or attacked in ongoing anti-Christian terror campaign. Transgender mom jailed for 25 years for forcing daughter she fathered to take part in child porn. Caribbean becoming too hot to live in, says climate change group. Churches attacked by pro-abortion protesters. Stay tuned with us. Coming up, it's Miss Jenny Campbell with our news commentary and Dr. David Carr with our health and wellness segment.
Has it always been your dream to become a medical professional? Ever wondered how to make that dream into reality? Dream no more. Cuba Hill Caribbean Limited will make your dream come true. With our help, you can excel in fields such as doctor in medicine, doctor in dentistry, bachelor's of nursing, bachelor's of pharmacy, and postgraduate medical programs. An amazing journey towards your future as a medical professional starts here. Cuba Hill Caribbean Limited will be with you step by step. Application, document processing, travel arrangements for Jamaican students, accommodation, and enrollment. Additionally, Cuba Hill Caribbean Limited offers affordable medical care in the Republic of Cuba. For further details, call us at 876-529-7866. Contact us by WhatsApp calls and messages at 876-672-9110 or 876-831-4030 for WhatsApp messages only. Or write to us at admin@cubahill-caribbean.com or our educational department at ed.admin@cubahill-caribbean.com. Let us here at Cuba Hill Caribbean Limited be your guide. Registration begins the first Monday in April and ends the first Monday in December.
Welcome to MTM News Commentary. I am Jenny Campbell. There's an old Jamaican saying that says, dog have money, him buy cheese. Some people say it another way. They said, dog have money, him buy fleas. Now, whether it's cheese or fleas, willful waste makes woeful wants. Now, in the news this evening, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, with its mission, which is to drive advances in science, technology, aeronautics, and space exploration in order to enhance knowledge, education, innovation, economic vitality, and stewardship of the earth. Now, that organization has launched naked photographs of human beings, yes, into outer space in an effort to attract aliens. As ridiculous as this seems, any logical mind would assume that NASA has some information about the existence and nature of aliens into space that the rest of us would not have. Now, the logical mind would also assume that NASA, with its very extensive and impressive mission to protect the Earth, is prepared to respond to any and all adverse effects from this very unusual exploration of sending naked photos into space. Now, sometimes last year, if you remember, it was reported that this same NASA had engaged some pastors to explain some spiritual truths to their scientists. Now, from a layman point of view, either NASA needs a different set of pastors or they need a different set of scientists. But it seems to me that the pastors, one would assume, would have pointed out to the scientists that the scriptures teach that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritualities in high and diverse places. The scripture further teach about demonic possession and spiritual operations. Now, all these things would suggest that there is a world of spiritualities that is way more active than the natural world in which we live. We also know from the scriptures that greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world, and that the indwelling of the Holy Spirit in humanity gives us the power to cast out and cripple the already defeated works of the enemy. We also know from scriptures that spiritual forces must find a body in which to dwell if they are to have any kind of access to the earth. NASA needs to know that. We know this because in the beginning, God gave dominion over the earth to man, not to angels, definitely not to spirits, and not to aliens. And God has not changed his mind about this. Now let's look at Genesis 1:26. And I'm reading from the Message, and it says, "And God said, let us make man in our own image, after our own likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." We know that this law remains enforced even up to the birth of Jesus Christ and beyond. When God decided to send his only begotten Son to the earth to save men's soul from sin, he had to send Jesus in the form of a human being. Hence he sought a woman who would give birth to his son. We know this because as Jesus walked the earth, he cast out demons from persons who were possessed. And later he gave his disciples this power, which we have as Christians today. Even witches and warlocks are well aware of the existence of demons and spiritualities, and that those same witches and warlocks manipulate this world of spirituality for various ungodly purposes. The scriptures refer to aliens as strangers. The strangers that NASA may be seeking to attract are supernatural and certainly mysterious, and without doubt will need bodies to enter the earth because the earth is human domain. Photos of naked people may attract alien spirits. Those would be the spirits of pornography, whoredom, loose and devious sexual practices, and others which we would prefer not to have among us. I think NASA needs to explain this latest exploration to humanity before it goes one step further. People must know what is being done in their name and with their money. As for us who believe in the word of the true and living God, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. We believe that spiritualities and principalities exist in diverse places. We don't need NASA to tell us that. But we know that the weapons of our warfare against those principalities and spiritualities are not through carnal means or machinations such as news photograph, but is in the fervent prayer of the righteous to our God, our Father, which art in heaven. Thank you so much for watching. I am Jenny Campbell. See you next week.
Welcome to another Health and Wellness segment. Hi, I'm Dr. David Carr. Now, every woman is different, including their periods. Some happen like clockwork, others are hit or miss and unpredictable. So let's talk some more about irregular periods on today's episode. Now, on average, a woman gets their period every 24 to 38 days. A period usually lasts about 2 to 8 days. Is your period regular? And if so, does it need treatment? Now, firstly, we need to talk about what's irregular. Now, you may have irregular periods if the time between each period starts to change. You lose more or less blood during a period than usual, and the number of days that your period lasts varies a lot. Now, let's focus on some causes. Now, many things can cause irregular periods. Changes in your body's level of hormones, including estrogen and progesterone, can disrupt the normal pattern of your period. That's why young girls going through puberty and older women approaching menopause commonly have irregular periods. Now, other common causes of irregular periods include if you have an intrauterine device or called an IUD, changing your birth control pills or using certain medications, if you exercise too much, and if you have a syndrome called polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS. pregnancy or breastfeeding or other factors, as well as stress, or an overactive thyroid called hyperthyroidism, or an underactive thyroid called hypothyroidism. Also, thickening of or polyps on the uterine lining and uterine fibers are some of the causes. Now, a less common cause is severe scarring called adhesions of the lining of the uterus, a condition doctors call Asherman syndrome. Now for the treatment. You probably don't need treatment for irregular periods unless they bother you or if you need treatment for another condition that's affecting your menstrual cycle. Now, let's focus on polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS and hyperthyroidism are two of the most common causes of irregular periods. In general, the goal of treatment is to restore the balance of hormones in the body. Now, if you have PCOS, your doctor may recommend birth control pills or other hormones to trigger a period. Now, if you have hypothyroidism, which is an underactive thyroid, you may need to take thyroid hormones. Now, other things that may help your periods include changing your birth control. Now, if you have irregular periods after 3 months of hormonal birth control, your doctor may recommend another type of birth control. Now, some women develop irregular periods when they use a Depo-Provera injection or intrauterine device. Now, lifestyle changes are also important. Now, some women have changes in their period because they exercise too much. You may need to make your workouts less intense or exercise less often. Now, if stress is the problem, learning how to manage your stress and possibly also talking with a counselor may be helpful. Now, extreme changes in your weight can affect your periods. Now, weight gain can make it harder for your body to ovulate, so weight loss could help with that. But, however, extreme sudden weight loss can also lead to infrequent or irregular periods. Now, let's talk about hormone therapy. Now, an irregular menstrual cycle is often due to a lack of or imbalance in certain hormones in the body. Now, doctors often prescribe birth control pills called oral contraceptives containing the hormones estrogen and progesterone to help control irregular periods. Now, a hormone called progestin can also help trigger periods in women who don't get them. Now, if you have irregular periods and are trying to get pregnant, your doctor may prescribe other hormone treatments. Now, surgery may also be useful. Now, sometimes scarring or structural problems in the uterus or the womb or fallopian tubes may lead to irregular periods. Now, your doctor may recommend surgery to correct any structural problems or birth defects, particularly if you want to have children. Now, it may also be done to remove severe scar tissue in the reproductive tract. Now, it's important to know when to call your doctor. Now, call your doctor if you have had regular monthly periods and the pattern begins to change. Your doctor may give you a physical exam and order tests to rule out pregnancy or another medical problem. Now, call your doctor if you have any of the following symptoms, which include you miss 3 or more periods in a year, you get your period more often than every 21 days, and you get your periods less often than every 35 days. You are bleeding more heavily than usual during your period, and you bleed for more than 7 days. Also, if you have more pain than usual during your period, it's important to let your doctor know all of the symptoms that were mentioned previously. Now, thank you for joining me for another Health and Wellness segment as we continue on the journey of obtaining, maintaining, and restoring good health. Please see my contact information on your screen, and remember to follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Dr. David Carr, and on Facebook at Dr. David S. Carr. Send any questions you may have to my email address at drdavidscarr@gmail.com. Join us next time, and remember, God desires us to be prosperous and to be in good health, even as our souls prosper. Now stay tuned with us. Coming up next is Alicia with personal development trends and Camila with lifestyle and entertainment.
Trends. I am Alicia Clark Edwards. On this program, we encourage you to passionately and persistently pursue your purpose. This week, I want to talk to you about the effect of mindset on your physical well-being. How will you achieve success in your purpose if you are struggling to patch up the health of your body? It is impossible to live an effective life with a damaged body. There are so many things that affect the functioning of your body, and one of the most important factors is the state of your mind. There is a direct correlation between mental and emotional state and the state of your body. Positive thoughts bring radiance to your body and allows you to light up a room when you enter. Negative thoughts, on the contrary, are toxic to your body. The human body was not designed to stay in a negative state. For instance, adrenaline, the hormone produced under stressful conditions, was meant to assist the human body to handle the situations at hand. Commonly known as a fight or flight hormone, it causes the body to be in a heightened state of alertness and pressure, which helps a person escape or fight through a dangerous situation. Adrenaline is meant to be a defensive hormone, which is produced temporarily, then subsides once you are out of a danger or an unpleasant situation. Prolonged exposure to adrenaline is toxic to the body, as it affects all of the endocrine systems, and it thus affects the entire physiology of the body. Constant or frequent negative thoughts causes chronic stress, which causes prolonged exposure to adrenaline, resulting in health issues. Have you ever heard stories of people who ate healthy and exercised regularly, yet died suddenly and prematurely? It is very important to exercise and eat well. But if you do not maintain a proper mindset, you will not be able to live the long and fulfilling life that you may desire. Examine the man who walks around with a sulking face. Is it as a result of all the happy thoughts that he has in his head? No. Pure, wholesome, happy thoughts will result in a happy face of radiance, which in turn tends to postpone aging. Your thoughts can actually make you sick. Yes, your thoughts literally drive your physical body. Getting up in the morning with negative thoughts will cause your body to adopt the feeling of the mind, which then leads to an unproductive day. Write down 5 things that you wish to accomplish for the day and wake up with a negative mindset and see what happens. At the end of the day, you will be asking yourself, what did I do all day? Having a morning filled with positive thoughts can significantly alleviate this. When you arise out of bed in the morning, the first thought you should have is one of gratefulness, being appreciative of the gift of life. Waking up with a feeling of gratefulness will position you for an awesome day. You must feed your mind with strong spiritual food in the quietness of your home before you venture out into a world full of distractions. Just as how we feed our bodies with food, so do we need to feed our minds with transformational, motivational, and inspirational food. Spending quiet time in communion with the Lord and meditating on His principles and instructions will bring things into perspective. This is what will charge you up for an exceptional day. There are so many negatives around us that compete to steal our attention. Having a focused mind through a morning routine will keep the distractions at bay. If you are battling with any illness in your body, definitely pray, but also check the quality of your thoughts. I pray we all live a long, fruitful, and productive life as we continue to hoard positive thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope that you found the information to be valuable. For more personal development trends and insights, feel free to visit my website at millionhairbeauty.com, where you will also learn more about our outreach arm, the Beauty of Growth. It is a personal development initiative for the nation's youth. Thank you so much again for joining me, and I'll see you next week.
Welcome to this week's Lifestyle and Entertainment. I am Camelia Kelly. This week, we will be traveling to Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunately, we won't be eating any of their delicacies and we can't get to meet and greet, but we will be highlighting 5 of their top gospel artists. Let's get right into it. So first up, we have Joshua Ali with his song, Over There. Let's take a look.
Over there, over there, over there, over there, over there, over there. I can see the promised land. Over there, over there, over there, over there, over there, over there. Can you see the promised victory ahead? All eyes with me, I see the victory ahead now. The things that you have for me, the plans what you have for me, all the blessings you have for me. I'm walking in victory. So when the trumpet blows, Father, take me to the sky. Oh yeah, Lord, I'm ready for you. Hallelujah. Lord, I'm ready for you. Hallelujah. Over there.
Next up, it's Blessed Messenger with Bring Me Through. Let's go.
I'll never turn my back on you, Jesus. I'll never turn my back on you, Jesus. So much of things you bring me through. So much of things you bring me through. So much of things you bring me through. Tell me where you want me to. So much of things you bring me through. So much of things you bring me through. So much of things you bring me through. Tell me where you want me to. I'll never.
We agree with Rise On with Worshiping God 24 hours. Here is Whole Day.
I declare every second of this day to be devoted to the praise of my Father. Praise of my Father, take this day, take it over completely. Lord, I offer it in praise to you, Father. Praise to you, Father. So we say, hallelujah. 24 hours of praise, and we do it again in the morning. Hallelujah. 24 hours of praise, and we do it. How can I take it higher for you today? Father, I'm listening. Father, I'm listening. How can I take it higher for you today? Father, I'm listening.
You know, as Christians, we need a complete coverage under the blood of Jesus. J. Prince in his song, The Blood.
Oh na 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 yeah. Oh na 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 yeah. Oh na 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 yeah. Oh na 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 yeah. The blood of Jesus break every chain. 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 Him conquer sin, him conquer death, him conquer hell, him conquer grave. The blood of Jesus is here to save. The blood of Jesus break every chain.
Ooh, song is lovely. Now wrapping it up for this week is Blessing After Blessing by Positive.
Pour a blessing over me. Yeah. Keep it flowing, flowing, flowing. Just keep it flowing, flowing, flowing. Blessing after blessing, and nothing can hold it back. What is for me? Oh yes, it will be. Me now go make them steal my joy, steal my joy, steal my joy. A blessing for you, and a blessing for me. Blessing after blessing, and nothing can hold it back. What is for me? Oh yes, it will be. Me now go make them steal my joy, steal my joy, steal my joy. A blessing for you, and a blessing for me.
We're not gonna make them steal our joy, steal your joy, steal your joy. A blessing for me and a blessing for you. Wow, Trinity's top 5 this week was awesome. Join us next week on Lifestyle and Entertainment, where we might be coming directly to you. Remember, if your church is hosting a special event, send us an email here at Lifestyle and Entertainment at mtmtv.admin@gmail.com, and we'll share it right here on this stage. Many blessings to you from us. It's back to the news desk with Karika McGregor Clue.
Thank you for tuning in with us to this week's episode of the Erudite News Hour, MTM TV's news magazine. On behalf of all of us here at MTM TV, have yourselves a great evening.